This is One on One. That's a talented guy. That's Rob Middleton, professor of music at Caldwell University. That's you playing there, right?
Yeah, that's me.
You don't just teach it, you play it.
Yeah. I try to practice what I preach.
Exactly. When did you get into music?
Well, I got into music as a kid, really. I grew up around music. There was a lot of music around my house. My parents were not professional musicians, but they were very musically involved. My mother played the piano. They sang in the church choir. One of my grandmothers was a music teacher. So I grew up around people not only listening to music on the radio and recordings, but making music. I was involved in school bands. The church we were a part of had a lot of music. My parents sang in the choir, that sort of thing. So I grew up around music. That got me into it.
Why jazz?
Well, when I was a teenager, I first heard jazz and started to play in the high school jazz band, and it really reached out and grabbed me.
Who was it?
Do you mean the
jazz-wise?
The person that first really grabbed me? Actually, I think Charlie Parker.
It was Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie Parker.
Why'd they call him Bird?
Well, not really sure. There are a number of explanations for that. Including the fact that he just flew. he took
but it was
off.
Charlie Parker.
Yeah. I first heard the music of Charlie Parker as a teenager and started to try to play it as a teenager in the high school band. And wow, I said, this is just amazing, this stuff. It's incredible. So that just sort of reached out and grabbed me. It just made me feel alive and energized, and that's just what I wanted to do.
So you become a musician. So where's the teaching part come, and bring it back to Caldwell University? By the way, we should make it clear, we used to do programming with our friends from Caldwell and refer to it as Caldwell College. We can't do that anymore. Caldwell University?
That's right.
As of
July.
That's
we became Caldwell University. Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah.
It changes things on a lot of levels. It provides a whole range of other doctoral programs that are going to be taking place, and expands a whole range of possibilities. Where does being a musician morph into teaching as well as being a musician, the teaching part?
Well, when I first got into the music business, I didn't necessarily intend to teach. It's an opportunity that came my way, and I took it. And I've found that it's fascinating. I really enjoy it. I've gotten pretty good at it. And I think that there's no better way to understand a subject than to teach it. I found that, and I've told that to some of my students who go on to be teachers as well, or if I have people do, say, an oral presentation in a class, and they say, well, I can't really explain it. I said, if you can explain something, you understand it. So every time I'm in front of a class, I'm doing an oral presentation. I'm trying to explain something, and in order to explain something well, I have to understand it better. So teaching has been not only enjoyable to me, satisfying, more work, but also it has helped me understand music at a much deeper level.
Rob, your students, are they all interested in performing music, teaching music? What is it?
Well, I have had a range of students. Some of my private students, some of them not affiliated with Caldwell University, are professional performers who do it part-time at Caldwell University. They do perform. Some of them intend to go on to performing careers, but many of them intend to go on in music as music teachers. And so we teach music. We, of course, teach music skills, performance skills. We want our students to leave as capable performers and to have a background in the theory and history of music and all that sort of thing, be musically literate. But our program presents music in the context of a liberal arts education, which I think is a very important thing.
You told our producers that jazz has this extraordinary ability of bridging a gap in society between the haves and the have-nots. I mean, I love jazz, but I don't understand that.
Well, I think, first of all, to go to what jazz is America's indigenous art music. It happened right here in the United States, and it came about as a confluence of European and African cultural influences here in this country. It is a crown jewel of American culture, and since so much of what makes jazz distinctive is from the African American side, I think we could consider it to be a crown jewel of African American culture. And it has become a profound expression of our American cultural life, and that's something that we all need to know about. One of the things that I see, particularly in young people today, is a real broad inequality between not only economic inequality, but sort of not just haves and have-nots, but knows and know-nots. And at the upper levels of our socioeconomic spectrum, people are generally quite culturally aware, but there's a great deal of cultural illiteracy often at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum, and that's one of the things that I would like to help correct, and that's one of the things we do at Caldwell University. We have people from a variety of backgrounds, people from different countries, but people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, and I feel a special mission to bring our Western culture, the most profound expressions of it, including jazz, to all those people. And I think cultural literacy is a part of a broad liberal arts education, learning how to think flexibly, to communicate, to work on a team, that sort of thing. And that is something that makes our society more equal.
You know, before I let you out here, I'm curious about something. We recently sat down with Christian McBride.
Oh, wow.
Down at Jackie Chicarico, our executive producer, at NJPAC, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
Yeah.
Where he,
great jazz bassist, and
Yep.
a great exponent of jazz and jazz education.
And that's what it was. And this discussion about jazz education that I had with him, which is making me think about this right now. How much of the teaching of music, more specifically the teaching of jazz, is focused on the teaching of the history of jazz? I mean, how important is it not just to teach about the music of jazz, but the history of jazz?
Well, I think it's very important. You know, to really understand any kind of music, you have to understand the cultural context from which it came. So when I teach jazz, I teach it in different ways. You know, I have students who I'm teaching jazz skills to, particularly, say, the jazz band at Caldwell College, which I run. We're working on the skills of performing jazz. And some cultural context comes into that too, but for example, when I teach jazz history, that is very much about understanding the milieu from which it came, the historical context, how jazz has been a reflection of our society and the relations between different groups in our society. So it's very much about that. Excuse me?
All that matters.
All that matters, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Rob Middleton, professor of music at Caldwell University. I want to thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You got it. One-on-One will continue right after this. Stay with us. Thank you, Rob.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Celgene Corporation, Wells Fargo Foundation, Barnabas Health, Health Republic, Insurance of New Jersey Sharing Network, and by PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and its monthly magazine, New Jersey Business. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.